Kitten Features, and you're listening to Show X Live with Ken in a student accommodation all the way in Scotland, and Wade in his white windowless van? Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show!
What the heck? Ah, that's right. There's sound in my things from other things. I hate that. Hate that! Alright. Let's see. Sorry, I was getting confused because all of a sudden I'm hearing things in the background like, no, what am I hearing? No, it's just a show. Alright. Hey everybody, and welcome to Sharks on VTWProductions.com. You're listening live at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT on this Sunday, the last day of 2017. It's actually fun when these dates kind of line up where they're on specific dates and things that are all happening and doing together, which is really cool. Today, we are not joined by our good friend Ken. He is out celebrating, as I say it right, I wanted to say Hogsmeade earlier when I messaged him, which he was like, that is Harry Potter, bro, not this.
It works for him.
It's officially, and I always want to say it properly for Scots, I say this as it's trying to load up so I can look at the chat and read it again, and wow, internet's being slow. It's actually not internet so much as face crack, and I want to say Microsoft Edge. Really? Really?
Why are you touching Edge?
I keep giving the major companies a chance
Gotcha.
to prove that they know how to make browsers and do things still. And now, they fail constantly for me, but I try.
Hey, at least you give them a shot.
I do! And wow, this one is bad. Okay. Let's try to switch over to the official. Now, the problem is I don't know if it's the browser, the OS, the internet, or things like that, but I'm assuming that one's more browser piece. Hogmanay. And I always say it wrong, but Hogmanay. So, happy Hogmanay to Ken and to all of those over in the UK and Scotland. All right, so it is 2017, but only the last day. And so I figured we would do a little bit of a wrap-up show. Now, even though Ken is not here to join us today, I am joined by my brother, Earthweaver.
Hello, everyone.
So, Earthweaver, thank you. Welcome to the show. Earth is in town this week and is going to be, thankfully, taking the time to celebrate New Year's tonight with us.
It will be fun.
Hanging out for the week so that he can do a wedding that you're going to be shooting here next weekend. That we are going to be shooting.
Working vacations, gotta like them.
Well, and what is it? It's going to be on...
Next Saturday.
Saturday, okay. I'm trying to get this right so that I don't, like, mix things and what all's going on. It's like,
Yeah.
rah! So, my schedule's always such that I never know. But, yeah, so we got Earth to join us to talk us a little bit about what has happened in 2017 and what we have looking forward to going forward into 2018. Wanted to kick things off right away. Let's see, going back to my notes. Before getting too much into the year in review thing, I want to talk about the holidays, because last we spoke, it was just about to be Christmas, essentially, or it was leading into and such like that.
Dave.
It kind of bouncing back and forth. If you've been following what I've been up to, I've celebrated like 3 Christmases now. First one was amongst friends up north a little bit, then it became amongst friends for Christmas itself down in New Mexico, and then followed up with Christmas with friends locally. And so I have now experienced all of those. I want to do a quick follow-up on the local one, since that's my most recent, as I am now currently in the process of taking the tree down, and I need to pull in all the Christmas lights. I mean, I only put out like 2 strands this year and such, and kind of get things all finished up and ready to start the new year. And so the last one I did was my local like cosplay group. I call it on my little chat windows like the Tales of Hysteria group, where we had gotten together originally at the beginning of the year for Tales of Hysteria, and these are people I've spent probably more time this year with than most any of my other friend groups. And in that, we celebrated our own little Christmas here, got together, we all made it or kind of got gifts for each other and exchanged them just the other day. It was a lot of fun. It was wonderful to be able to hang out with them more, and I think they all did really good. I try to pride myself somewhat on doing gifts, and I think I got a review from my brother saying that I did well for the nieces and
Yeah, he did well.
such
He
like
did
that.
good
They
job.
appreciated. So that's really good to hear. Although another challenge is I believe that there's a chance that my last thing I sent was basically was cash in the mail, which I don't think made it. Last I heard, yeah. Our mother talked to me and said it still hadn't arrived. So there's a chance that some things got intercepted in the mail and someone might have stolen it. Hope that's not the case. Hope it eventually shows up. But if not, I'll have to rectify that somehow. This is why you shop online and get things delivered direct.
It makes things easy.
As well as shipping through the regular post is such a pain these days. But going forth, let's see. I got some really cool gifts. I got some handmade things, which is really neat from several of my friends. And just very thoughtful kind of gifts, which is always fun. Most of mine are out in the other room. I did get some bling that I'm very happy to have. It was handmade, as well as actually things I have on hand. A cup that has a skull in it.
Oh, nice.
Teacup that is very Doc Dead was the original reasoning for that. As well as I got some tea and some other things. I got a really, really cool stained glass that is of a Voltron symbol.
We'll call these Christmas.
Well, so I was
call
going to
them
get to
Christmas
is
gifts.
essentially I do accept those as Christmas
We'll call them
gifts. It's
Christmas
the
gifts.
season. My little brother has finally had the opportunity to do unto me something I've done unto him for years in the past, which was basically re-gift things that we had. In this case, he is setting me up with several off-camera lights that he has used flashes that he's used for some time and some triggers so I can run them wirelessly.
So those who need pictures done, he now can do it a little better. So come one, come all.
We'll see. But it's one that hopefully what this will be is a chance for me to actually do better, which I'm hopeful for, and a reason to, I don't know, improve my game when it comes to photography. I have often been a little too lazy, and so I'm hoping this will be a means to, I don't know, get me closer to. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I very much appreciate it, and it should be fun. We'll see. Oh, you gosh things. It sucks because I have something in the background going that I can hear coming through my stereo. Stop it!
And unfortunately, you're using
Whichever
Edge, so it's not showing them.
Well, so it's actually, the problem is I've opened up some pop-up blocker stuff, or sites that complain that you run a pop-up
Gotcha.
blocker.
I was wondering if it just normally because like on Chrome it shows a little speaker for which
does it?
tab has sounds coming from it.
Oh, that would have been nice.
So yeah, that's why I'm like, because you're using Edge.
Well, so
Chrome
okay,
I can find my
I say
thing.
this. I don't just use Edge. I have Edge on the main browser as I play with that. I have Chrome actually running the stuff for the site, and then I was tempted to get the new Firefox in. I also run Explorer 11, the old Internet Explorer 11. It all depends on what I'm doing because it doesn't matter which browser you use. Some sites and some utilities within sites do not work and are terrible, and so that's just, it doesn't matter which.
Touche.
They're all coded a little differently, and so they all are HTML5 compliant to the standard, and yet they're all different. Yay, standards. Anyhow, besides that. But yeah, so Christmas celebrations were great. The stained glass I got was a Voltron symbol for Hunk, which is really great.
Nice.
And my friends did the whole thing with color coordination and stuff like that. It's just, it's been a good time, and hopefully they all appreciated the things I got them. So that was a lot of fun, and it's nice to wrap up kind of that part of the holiday season and now get ready to close out the new year. Looking forward to tonight. We are going to be going out to a White Rose Gala event. Essentially, it's a fancy smancy pants dance downtown in the Opera House, or kind of that performing arts complex. So we're dressing up to the tees. My little brother brought a zoot suit of his. I purchased an old vintage tuxedo that I hope still fits, because when I bought it was at my lowest level after keto, and the holidays have done a number to me where I haven't been doing my diet like I should, and so I've gained like 10 pounds, so hopefully it still fits. And I'll be getting back onto that after the holidays. But so we'll be going out tonight to ring in the new year with hopefully champagne and dancing and such like that. Normally we'd be doing, or I would have done more geek things like the Geek New Year's Eve bash that they do at NDK, which is Nandescon's anime-based event they do, which is fun. But that's a little younger crowd, more diverse, and this is going to be a much not younger crowd. This is going to be a little more affluent crowd going out because tickets were not cheap. I would not like to disclose how much I'm spending on this event.
It'll be well worth it. Can
it
bust
should
out the
be a
dance
blast.
moves,
Yeah.
dust off swing
Well,
dancing.
and it's a 1920s themed one based off the Great Gatsby and that kind of roaring 20s. And so that's where the vintage comes in. So there should be a lot of swing music, things like that.
I'm
Followed
just
up by dance afterwards, where it's supposed to be more modern stuff later.
I'm looking forward just to seeing people dressed to the T.
It should be fun. I'm excited. I really am. So we have a group of mine that's meeting here, and hopefully we'll figure out something to do with my hair in the process.
I've got scissors.
Well, one of the challenges I ran into is that I had plans on Thursday to go and get my hair done. And I was going to get it braided back, slicked back, try to get it really skull capped, kind of to meet with the Roaring 20s. Unfortunately, somewhere in my travels, trips, and adventures, I got food poisoning. And so I made an attempt where I showed up at work Thursday morning, bright and early like I should, and was there and just sitting there in the chair as I was trying to do stuff. I kept having to adjust myself, was not comfortable. And TMI, got to a point where it's like I was about spending more time in the restroom than I was at my desk, and I decided it was no longer worth the effort of trying to power through. And I'm happy I did, because by the time I got home, I spent the rest of the day on the couch.
That's what
just
food poisoning
does.
does.
Just trying to take electrolytes in and anything. Because I hadn't even eaten anything that day. I'd only had tea. And I had things coming out of me in a way that I was like, more came out of me than I think had gone in like a couple days.
Great way for him to lose weight going for tonight.
No, not a good
I've
way.
had food poisoning twice. It
No,
sucks.
I've had it before, and this kind of came out of the blue. It sucked, and there were some people down in New Mexico that had suffered kind of similar symptoms, so we don't know if it was from the same kind of food they had suffered or if something else in the process since. But I hurt, and so I basically lost a day, and I had to cancel my hair appointment, so that's why it's still... And I've been looking up like YouTube videos today saying, how can I try to do something with this myself? So we'll see if that happens. I don't know. Nice thing is the event tonight's not till 9, and so we'll do dinner and stuff like that, but I'm going to spend the rest of the day kind of getting ready.
Don't you have a hat you can just throw over it?
Not that will match with any of my outfits.
Gotcha.
No. Unlike you, I'm trying to be in theme, damn it.
My hat matches and it is in
Yes,
theme.
but you're in like 40s and 50s.
I just looked it up. My hat's in theme, so deal with it.
Your hat, maybe.
I haven't checked the suit.
But regardless, it's we have that coming up tonight, and I'm looking forward to it. Followed by hopefully a lazy day tomorrow to recover. And so, because I'm not going to work tomorrow.
Nice.
And so we're going to ring in the new year, but that should be a lot of fun and with a lot of great friends. And that's something I wanted to kind of, let's see, get into. Check my notes real quick. Other thing I wanted to say right up top. I also wanted to mention one of the big things I got, because I forgot it's not on my wrist anymore, was my Pokemon Go Plus. So for those who don't recall, when my phone died and I went back to the 4S, I went basically unable to play mobile games. That has been rectified, and now I have the iPhone X, and with it, it means I can now play all the stuff again, including mobile games like Pokemon Go. I was feeling bad because I've been sitting at the same level, like level 26 for a year.
Don't worry, you're still ahead of me.
Well, thankfully, since I actually just leveled up when I was down in Albuquerque, because we did some amazing gaming down there. Well, the Pokemon Go Plus is phenomenal. If you're actually still playing Pokemon Go, and you should, because it's fun. And my friend Hyde had one and was always around our group showing us, kind of like, here are the benefits, and we were all jealous. And so I put it on my list, and my brother-in-law and sister got me a Pokemon Go Plus that I have been using continuously every time I go outside of the house. Because it allows you to just, with a click of the button, since it's GPS aware and Bluetooth in, one, for the X, it also, it's beautiful, is it lets you minimize the game itself, not have it running directly, and it keeps track on the GPS where things are and what it can do. And so you can be catching Pokemon without it draining as much off the battery of your phone. As well as having other apps running and things like that. And because it's just a push button, as long as you're going slow enough when you're traveling, you can hit gyms or Pokestops and just pick up whatever you need, just tapping it, just dink, dink, as well as actually catch Pokemon. So it doesn't take your eyes off the road, doesn't take you doing anything else. It's just a reaction like, oh, buzzed, do something. And then after you get wherever you're going, you can go back through your list and kind of check everything it's doing. And sort and go through your Pokemon. So it's much more efficient. It's allowed me to get more discerning with my Pokemon selection, where now when I do have a bunch queued up from what I've recently gotten, I go through and throw away anything, turn everything to candy that's not amazing. Being Team Valor amazing, if it was Team Mystic, it would be a wonder, and I have no idea what the Paste Eaters do for their top.
No one knows.
Yeah, what Instinct gets if whatever their best
Better
ones are.
not to be found out.
So, I've definitely been playing more Pokemon, getting the Pokemon Go Plus just recently, and it's been a blast. What other things? Okay, so that was the main one with that. Again, just celebrating with family and friends has been amazing for the holidays. I really appreciate that. What other stuff? I didn't want to get into too much other just random over the last week. I'll get into a little bit where I've still been with my friend group that keeps jumping around. We've been watching anime a ton. They got me. I finally have delved into, I guess, Ouran Host Club, something I've been avoiding for ever. And it's an anime that, if I were to describe, how would I say it? It is somewhat described as a reversed harem, although based on the actual true tropings of a harem, it really isn't.
No.
But it follows the story of a gal, Haruhi, who goes to this top-end school that's full of rich kids, basically the descendants of major corporations
The
and
hierarchy.
families within Japan. And she just happens to be an honor student with great grades and was able to get in. First day she rolled in, she accidentally, I think, shows up at the host club. Wrong room, it's labeled as a music room, doesn't realize what's really going on in there, goes in, looks very frumpy, and is mistaken by everyone in the club initially as a guy. Comes in, gets surprised with the antics of what's going there, and accidentally breaks this vintage vase that was worth 8 million yen. And for those who don't know the conversion, that's essentially $80,000. Basically drop 100. And in doing so, they then pull her in and say to earn off the debt, she has to work as a host, or basically be their kind of, not slave, but part of the host club. Initially, it was going to be kind of their, would have to come in and be a, what was it? Not a slave per se, but was going to have to work off the debt. And in doing this, instead turns into, they see the potential once they clean her up, dress her as a host, and decide she'd work as a host instead. It goes to the antics, and it's very interesting characters in there. Such, it's one I avoided the first time because I'd heard so much about it and seen so much fandom. I'd seen so many people just
Gotcha.
cosplaying and being around it and how excited they were. And this is an older anime. It's in 4x3 format. I didn't look at the date on it for when it actually came out, but it's one that's been around for a while. Thankfully, I have good friends with good taste, and they were able to get me to come back and give it another shot. And now watching it with them and getting better understanding, I am appreciative, and I'm enjoying it. I really am. It's a challenge because this is an anime that I'd say is probably more deep than you would see on the surface, and almost requires multiple viewings.
No.
From the people who I'm watching it with, they've all said they've seen it multiple times and they've gotten more out of it each time, and have been able to focus on and appreciate different characters each time they watched it. So as I'm now going through it and getting through the first couple episodes where I was just like, what is this nonsense? Everyone's ridiculous. And admittedly, one of the things that was mostly pulling me away from it was the twins. Because the twins are, and each one of them is a trope, essentially, of what would be considered a harem group or the kind of the male fantasy, or, for gals, what they look for in kind of fanciful characters. That they do the twinsy, whatever you'd want to call it, thing where they have a far too friendly relationship between each other. And that, to me, was, unnecessary, and so it was something that never attracted me to the series. I've gotten past that and beyond that, and you get later into it, you get to learn more about the characters, and so it starts to become deeper.
The twins make more sense later on.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
From the episodes I jumped in on.
Yeah, you
the other
came
night.
in at the, second major recap?
Yeah, somewhere in the middle.
Basically, Earth joined us as we were watching yesterday about the, essentially it was the recap in the Alice in Wonderland episode. And so in that one is kind of it's an interesting place to come in.
Which, honestly, is an episode I think I've seen before, just the dubbed version. And I haven't seen any of the other episodes, because that's why when we were watching it made me go, I believe I've seen this one.
Well, and it's one that I've probably seen the most cosplay from outside of just the regular outfits. Because it's something that I think, realization and throwing it out there will probably get me hated by anyone in the fandom that were to watch this or listen to the show, but I realized the reason I didn't give it a chance was the fandom. Much like some other things that are out there, the content itself of Ouran Host Club is actually quite good. If you're not aware of that, if you haven't given a chance and you only know about it because of what you've seen at conventions and from other people who experience and love it, a lot of people who really enjoy it, they express their joy in a way that I can best describe as really cringy. And so it's the weeaboo, it's the people who get in there so much and love it so much that they just do strange things to express their love in a way that makes others kind of turn away from it. Like, nah, I don't want to be a part of that. And what kind of crazy, anime is this if people are dressing like this and acting like this when they proclaim they enjoy it? Often can be said a lot for the Homestucks and with those kind of comics, webcomics and
You
such.
always have your people that will go over top and make things
Cringy.
weird, crazy,
Just a little too much.
however you want to look at it.
And so I had avoided it because a lot of what I'd seen fandom doing, and never they were representing Ouran Host Club. And also, it's crazy because the more I've watched it, the more I feel like the majority of the fandom out there don't actually know the series. Now, this is my first time through, but after talking to some people that have really experienced it a lot, who are a little more mature and understand things and have seen a ton of anime, we kind of agreed that the real themes being described in Ouran Host Club are not what most of the fandom portray. And so I think they latch on to some early scenes and some very specific aspects of the series, and that's all they ever get out of it. Because what a lot of them are showing, compared to what I feel is really being represented, are complete opposites. They like contradict each other completely. And I think it's because a lot of groups are trying to get what they want out of it versus being honest about what it's really depicting.
Well, I mean, plus how much of that is just majority of those groups not actually probably haven't even seen episodes. They're just going off of others.
No, I would say a lot of them have seen them, because a lot of people I know who are into it, they do binge and they watch the heck out of it. And so I would honestly say most of them have probably seen it. My challenge is I think a lot of them were looking for something specific from it.
Gotcha.
And therefore that's all they see. That's all they focused on. And that's where I think they're not doing themselves a proper service or doing the series a proper service in understanding the real themes behind it. And because I think the more I'm watching it and the more I will now want to go back and see it again, that it actually has a crazy amount of depth. And that's the thing that I think a lot of these people are missing, is how deep the series really is and how much subtext and what it really talks about with relationships and just various aspects that I think they see some surface level things and they think, oh, it's this and therefore it means this. And I see the way it's been portrayed and I'm like, I don't think you got it. I think you just saw the image and didn't really pay attention to the subtlety of how it was being presented to see what the real message is. And now maybe I'm just being elitist in this and I'm thinking my own thoughts. Maybe I'm just coming from my own perspective and doing the exact same thing that I'm complaining about. But it just feels that way, and I've now reinforced that by talking a little bit amongst my friends who are real fans. And so we'll see. I'll hopefully learn more. I haven't quite finished it. I think there's one overall more arc to go through in this one before it's done. Thankfully, my friends have it on Blu-ray, and so they've been through it. So we'll see. But yep, so far I'm enjoying that. And that was one I wanted to throw out there. Other notes. I'm trying to think, because there's all a bunch of stuff that I've been watching and seeing and sharing with people. I finally got to show my friend group one of my favorite older movies, Way of the Gun.
Okay.
Which I'm sure you've seen,
Yeah.
because I think I passed
seen
it
it
off and gave it to everybody at some point, made
Yep.
sure everybody had seen it. As we were talking about just intelligent movies and things that are done well. And it came from, so people who haven't seen Way of the Gun, it's an older one that came out in 2001 that starred Benicio del Toro and Ryan Phillippe, I think.
I'd have to look at it.
I think were the main ones. But also has several other, like Juliette Lewis is in it, and a couple other major actors that are famous. And when you see them, you're like, oh, snap. But the way I portray it is it's an intelligent movie where scenes that occur throughout it are done surprisingly smart, where you would in previous or other types of genres see tropes or not tropes, you'd see scenes done in a way that just aren't very smart, that are kind of your average action flick. In this one, you have moments where things slow down, and the way people cover each other, the way gunplay happens, stuff like that, actually kind of makes more sense in the sense of, wow, that's how I would deal with this situation if you're actually thinking and taking your time versus just reacting to things. That's really, really smart. And so it's been nice to be able to go through some of this content that's much more in depth than you sometimes see in just frivolous things. And so I showed them that. It's something I've been wanting them to see for a while, but it came off of because they're mostly showing me anime. I chose a lot of memes and things like that, or I finally got to watch all the ADSF films or whatever, the little line art, crazy, random nonsense, where I realized my generation is not random like that, where it's just like things thrown in your face, it changes, things thrown in your face.
Welcome to everyone
Like,
24 and younger that I
Everyone
deal
you deal
with
with at work constantly.
daily.
Yeah. And so that's been an enlightening thing. And it's bad because, I mean, I enjoy it. There's some things in there that are truly funny. But because it's my first time and kind of going through and just some, I won't say shock value, but still processing. My friends, and it's not just like Heidi, it's also Zenko Akra the same way. The level of like them being able to remember quotes and lines from it and take more meaning from it than I do, where it's my first time, so I'm just like, oh, that happened. And some things truly made me laugh out loud, like, ha! Ha! Oh, okay, that's good. But they were quoting things to each other. I'm like, I have no idea where this is from, which caused the I'm taking over your TV. Watch this right now. But entertaining. I've been trying to present them with some of the things that I've seen, the classics, and just stuff that have been meaningful through my life. Well, one of the other recent ones I just found, and I ended up watching it twice the same day, which for it's new, and I've seen a lot of discussion on online, has been the movie Bright. You saw Bright.
I saw Bright.
All right, cool. We're going to talk about Bright. Without spoiling, but this is a Netflix original, and it's one I had talked about before with when I'd first seen previews of it. It's one that stars Will Smith.
Came out on the 22nd, so you should have seen it by now, but we'll still not spoil. We'll still not spoil.
2 to 3 weeks minimum for people to see things. So there. Just like we still aren't talking about Star Wars for another week. Ish. We'll see. But essentially, Bright is a fantasy movie, essentially one-shot type movie, that is based in what could be considered essentially modern-day LA.
Yep.
If throughout life growing up, throughout time, there had been all of the fantasy races existing together.
Yep.
Essentially. And they talk about in the movie things that had occurred 2,000 years prior.
Yeah.
That led to events in the way they are in the current age. Focuses primarily on Will Smith, a human who is a cop in LA, and his partner, who is an orc on the police force.
Yep.
Other races that are included in it, main race essentially are elves, and they have some little throughout to like some of the creatures in the world, like fairies and stuff like that. I've seen a lot of reviews or kind of people's opinions expressed on social media about it, both positive and negative. For myself, watching it, I really enjoyed it. I haven't actually read into or seen a lot of the criticism that is there, other than people saying they generally didn't like it. And I think some associations to how it could be looked at as different races today and social interaction, which I can accept. And that's fine. I mean, they actually make mention of things in it where they talk about Hispanic culture and how it's being represented throughout time compared to what orcs are. And this one is essentially orcs are violent and big, kind of not necessarily as intelligent as some of the other races. And historically, it had done things where they sided with a side in a big war where they were considered evil compared to good. And so as a race, they tend to be looked down upon by humans and elves.
My problem with that is, I'm like, folks, it's how fantasy always looks at them. If you look at pretty much...
Orcs have always been the monsters.
Yeah, if you look at... The movie does a great job of showing how they're perceived. All those races are pretty much perceived in almost every single fantasy genre dealing with this. If you think about how elves are portrayed, because they're seen as more the behind the scenes in charge of...
Well, no. Elves are always seen as like magical, hoity-toity,
in charge of stuff, the high uppity ones.
Things like that. And they do the similar kind of thing in Bright, but they just do a modern twist on it.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, for
and
me,
humans
that's not...
are basically your average.
Yeah, and for me, so that part's not a big deal to me, just because...
Well, and orcs are stronger, but maybe not as mentally acute
as the
other races.
I can see it from those who aren't really into the fantasy world and stuff, who like to read into things a little too much also.
There's that. And so there's been some criticism, right? Now, my challenge is I actually thought they did a masterful job of depicting some of those race relations and what you would see from a fantasy world, but in the modern day.
Yep.
And so I liked all of that.
I liked it enough that I want them to make a second one.
In its essence, this is a one-shot. It feels, in many ways, like there's a continuing story, that there's a lot of things we haven't learned about, and there's a lot more to be done. I actually thought the writing was really tight, and what I liked about Bright more than most things, the overall presentation I thought was solid. Like the art direction, pacing of it I thought were really good. In fact, so well done that my audience, when they watched it with me, from the moment it starts getting actiony, it felt like it doesn't let you go.
Yeah.
Until the end of the movie. And so there's almost like, not necessarily an hour, but it doesn't take long to get you into it. So pretty much an hour of just a little bit of clenched and, oh my God, what's going to happen? And Akka was saying, and as he was talking about it, it really catches you in a sense of like, what is it? Not dread, but danger. That the main characters are constantly in situations that are dangerous. That there are antagonists around them who have ill intent, and you can feel it. And so it's really interesting. They do a great job of just showing menace, and that there aren't a lot of slow moments in there. That things are continuously happening, and they're just on the run, and just so much is going on. That I thought was really well done. And the other piece of that is in the art direction or the direction of how they tell story elements and the history stuff, unlike a lot of shows and movies that I think are a little lazy about it, where they just kind of either in your face say, and this is what's happening, and this and that, or are so vague about it that you have to watch the whole thing and kind of go back to a scene the second time or just look again like, maybe they were talking about this? Is that what they were trying to get us to do? I made several comments and jokes, and I've done this a few times, where I was like, wow, this one had such tight, good direction in so many ways that they treated the audience like adults who are intelligent enough to figure things out themselves without having it be laid out blatantly in front of them. It's almost like I wish some major sci-fi motion picture that was recently released had been that tightly written. Things like that.
Yeah, I can agree with that. This is a shout out to Will Smith. Make another movie happen.
Well, yeah, Netflix, continue on this trend. Have the wherewithal to take a chance.
I will say Netflix has done a great job with their original series.
I believe so, and I'm in a way, I don't know if it's because of, and therefore I should thank all the studios who have been pulling out of Netflix because they Disney, who wants to create their own things, and so bought 60% of the shares of Hulu.
Yeah.
So expect to see all your Disney content now go there and have commercials. No, go to Netflix. Netflix is the bomb, but here it's nice because, okay, so that's happened. So what I now get out of Netflix, instead of all the movies I had missed or would want to see back in past, I now get original series. I get some of the best Japanese culture films being brought over that I've talked about multiple times. I actually get a decent selection of anime that's quality and up to task. And I've been getting all these new series that have been phenomenal. And even if Disney does eventually take all the Marvel content away, it's the good Marvel content started with Netflix being that kind of HBO-esque where you could do anything you want, and it's okay to have cursing and some nudity and things like that, and not always have to be PG. And so it's just, oh man, I wish more people would give love to Netflix for what it has done well. As well as, I will tell you, their 4K content looks amazing streaming, so they figured a lot out.
I have no advantage of that yet, so...
Yeah.
But like I said,
see it online.
They do a great job. The series is great. That movie... Like I said, I enjoyed it. As soon as you hit that action, it flies by and you don't realize that much time went by.
Well, you're on a ride.
Yeah, you're just
good.
waiting for the next moment to see what happens.
So I will say, as a whole, I recommend Bright. Yes, it may be different than what you're expecting going in, and it may take a little bit of to get into it. But at the same time, I think it is well worth the effort and the ride. And I just think they did a great job. I really do hope they come out with a follow-on. There is more story to be told, and I think it would be fantastic.
Yeah, I just think the way they portrayed it, they could make multiple movies.
Absolutely.
And I would be very happy for it.
And they presented a world. One of my favorite things in any story being told, and this is not just in a movie or film or series, it's in books, it's in poetry, it doesn't matter what it is. I am a huge fan of the world and the mechanics and how things interact and work together. A lot of my friends are massive on character development, and I have gotten more so into that with a lot of the anime I've watched where some are really character oriented. But I will latch onto something faster because of the mechanics of the world and the way things are presented. So the way magic works in fantasy, or the way social structure works, how financial commerce, all those kind of things all blend together. That's what I love. When I talk about a series that we all read as kids, the Dragon Riders of Pern series from Anne McCaffrey,
which our nieces are now.
Are they now consuming?
Yes.
I actually want to
We
share
actually had a discussion on what books came first because Mom was a little off on that.
Dragon Riders of Pern is the first.
Well, it's just you have that 3-track series.
I know. Dragon Rider of the Pern is the first one you watch, or you have to read. If you do not read it in order for the way they're released, you will mess yourself up. Do not go back to the history. It's like people talking about the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit. If you read the Silmarillion first, you're gonna hate life, even though by chronological it is an encyclopedia back before.
Yep.
I always say that wrong, so yell at me if you want. So read Dragon Riders of Pern because you have to learn about Flora and Lessa and the story they tell to get the wow effect. Because if you read other books that they assume you've already read that, then they just give you reveals that otherwise are not there in Dragon Riders of Pern, and therefore it would mess you up. But what I love about that series is the world they create, the way that the guild halls all work and interact with each other, the way that the lair works with the various kingdoms, and basically the how are they broken out? Each castle or whatever is a...
I'm trying to remember what the actual
I forget
name
the way
for
they
it. It's
call
been
it
a while.
name-wise, yeah. But how each of those areas are separated out, if the world of it to me is what's magical, more so than the story being told, although it's equally good.
If you haven't read them, pick them up. It's good.
This is what we're saying. Something people may not know about our family is we love books and we love stories and we love reading.
Because you'll progress from there to Honor Harrington and on there.
We're probably on the lower level. Our brother, or no, not our brother. Brian might be on the left.
Sisters.
But our sister and my father.
So here's the deal with our
ridiculous.
sister. I got her 3 good-sized books for Christmas.
Were they done before you left?
She's done with them.
Yeah.
When she opened them, I said this would last you the week, so this will get you through the week.
It's ridiculous.
Our oldest niece got 2 books that she fled through like nothing. She has her mom's jeans.
Yes,
completely.
and focus.
Yes.
I always mention, I'm always jealous of my sister that she has the focus that she was able to start and finish a book on a flight. It was like a 400-page book or something. And
It's
she was able to
insane.
start and finish it on a flight. That was like overall experience, maybe 4 to 6 hours. It's like, how? And I watched her read it. It's not like she's a speed reader. It's just consistency.
She just blocks
starts
out the
and
rest of the world
keeps
and just reads.
Keeps going, and I can't do that. Holy cow. Anyhow. But yeah, it's worlds, and so I think Bright does what many good series do, and it presents a magical world, a great world that actually works together and has enough depth to it that you see other elements just by the way they walk through a scene, just what you see in the background, some comment that you hear off to the side, that actually, if you pay attention, fills in a ton of story about why things are the way they are or how interactions are that work the way they do. So I highly recommend it for that, and I hope people will give it a shot and understand the actual complexity and depth of the world is. And as Earth said, I really hope they do more with it. All right. So that's talking about what we've been up to, what I've been doing recently. I'll get through all that, and then we'll do our little bit of year in review stuff, and we may call it after that. I don't know if I'll do the full 2 because got projects and things I got to get done today. Geek cred-wise, so other than that, something else that's happened that I haven't been enough a part of yet is Star Citizen 3.0 has released.
Which I've seen people do plenty of.
It's still alpha, so it's 3.0 but alpha. It's not like Star Citizen's been released. A lot of people have reported it's buggy as hell. I have barely touched it. This is the first instance of essentially the persistent world, the persistent universe. And so you can still do the original stuff that was there, but this is persistence. And in that means that, as I found out the hard way, if you go fly out and try to see about landing on a planet the first time and then kind of say, I got places to go, I got things I got to do, and just log out, yeah, your ship's still somewhere else. So the next time I logged in, I was like, let me spawn my ship, which I could do all the previous times. It wasn't at the station. Well, crap. I only own one ship. Crap. Thankfully, I have the premium account from the Kickstarter days, so I have insurance on it. And not knowing how the real claim service will work, I had to make a claim.
That has been the discussion among our group of how are they going to do the claiming your ships when they're destroyed. Will it be a delayed period?
Well,
how
so
much?
What I experienced,
what will be the cost of new?
So the cost I don't know, because having this account, it means I have lifetime insurance paid for on this one ship. It's another reason I may upgrade my ship to one that's slightly nicer so that I can have that same level of insurance on a bigger ship. The way it worked for me is I got in there and went to the terminal and said, ship, and looked and said it was else somewhere, and it had like 3 options. One would be if it was there to spawn it wherever I needed it, deliver it to a pad. Another one was to, I forget what the other one, and the last one was to claim. So the only option I really had was to claim. The claim has said, okay, and it looked like there was an option for how much it would cost.
Yep.
Mine didn't have a cost. It just said, would you like to? I said, okay, boom. It then stated, all right, it'll be delivered to the pad in like 40 minutes.
Gotcha. Okay. So
30 or 40 minutes, something like that.
Well, because... No, go ahead.
And so from there, I was like, okay, well, that sucks. I kind of had some time to play with it right now, not in 30, 40 minutes. So I saw it count down for a minute, and then it had an option on there that said to expedite the delivery. I'm assuming there's another cost associated with that. Again, I did not have one, but I don't know if that's because it's alpha
still.
Or if my premium side will be that, the lifetime. I haven't read, and I know there's information out there in the developer notes and stuff, and they do a lot of casts, but I just haven't followed it. So we'll see. And so I hit expedite, and it didn't cost me anything, but it took it basically down to 5 minutes, or a little less.
Okay.
Which is a significant less. It's at least 6 times, if not more or less, depending on how much it was before. And I waited for that, and then it came, it showed up, and it showed up in the inventory again, not on a pad yet, because you can still deliver it. And actually, at that point, I said, I'm done, and I left. But that was my quick insight into it. The other challenge is my performance-wise, it's been a mess. Right now, the servers can handle, I think it's 50 people per instance.
Right.
Not sure how they're going to blend and let you cross once you're in. It does have, if you have people on your friend list, the option to look for friends and jump into their session if there's room. Directly, which is nice. Otherwise, by ping or whatever else kind of things. And I don't know how many servers or how many regions they're running. But was able to jump in and at least fly around. And I jumped into one instance that I think Pause was in, but I never communicated because that was the one I had to reclaim.
Yep.
I've heard stories of like Serpenser, Hostel, Mike, and a few others running together and doing some missions and various things. El Campo has put out various posts. If you're following
he's
Facebook,
on right now, I believe. So
if you're following the Facebook page and look at the Versus the World gaming site, you'll see some posts from him about flying and working with Mike, I think primarily, and doing some stuff. I haven't actually talked to see how they're enjoying it, and I haven't done it enough to really get my own opinion, but it's neat to see that they've made this progression. With the performance, though, I've also noticed that I went through some tweak guides and stuff like that to try to tweak, because I've been thankfully, every iteration I've done, my user config, which is basically the INI that you can adjust yourself, has persisted.
Right.
So tweaks I made in 2.0 were still there, and have made a major difference, where I was actually able to run it really smooth on my rig. Now, granted, I'm running a 6850 with, 32 gigs of memory and a 1080, NVIDIA 1080, not a TI, but a 1080. And it was running beautifully, and then on 3.0, when I got it, started playing it, and on the Persistent Universe, it's been less than stellar. Not smooth. Bit of a challenge. Now, I was concerned with that. I was kind of not giving enough time, so what I then did double check is I went back and ran it just on a local instance in the, I forget what it's called, the Fleet Arena, where you can just fight against bots and such, and that ran beautifully smooth. So the engine is smooth, and when I ran it on my own instance, it was fine. It's the multiplayer, and one of the challenges we keep saying is it feels like for as much work as they're doing adding things right now with Robert Space Industries, and Cloud Imperium and all those guys, the actual optimization of the engine now that they're in Lumberyard and for the netcode and things like that probably still needs some work in general.
Like I said, our biggest discussion has been what happens when you lose your ship if you're doing a group thing.
Float around in there.
Are you stuck doing nothing, waiting for your friends to be done? Are you able to spawn a new ship on someone else's? It's been a lot of just talk of how long things will happen, how long do you have to wait.
I actually don't think it would be too terrible.
Hostel brought this part up is what will be the cost for getting ships back that are on lifetime warranty?
Yeah.
Will it become like Eve, where you don't bring out your shiny, awesome ships because you don't want to have to lose it and farm for
there's two things.
A week
Here's
to
the
get
two
it
things,
again?
Right? From what little I know with the insurance, you don't have to insure a ship. And I believe if that's the case, then it's gone.
Yeah.
Ships you do insure, you can insure for periods of time. And so depending on what that costs, like you said, that piece of how much will it cost to get it insured in the first place, and once it is insured, what does it mean to get it back? You may still bring out your shiny ship. You just might know that, okay, we're doing this big thing, so I'm going to pay the $5 for a month's insurance.
And that's going to be a thing.
On
is
this ship.
Will it be in-game cost for that stuff? Out-of-game? Where are all the micros going to be? It's going to be
based on everything
interesting.
they've done is it's going to... Yeah, the real question is there going to be ISK?
Yep.
Is Star Citizen going to turn into a world where the currency fluctuates like real market money, and it's based off time in engine, time in game versus other things? Who knows?
So that's just some people that are heavy into Eve.
Oh yeah,
are looking at it going, will it end up having that? Will it end up going that way?
Some people love, and it works for Eve. It'll be interesting because the difference between Eve, where you can do so many things, mining and other things stuff, this is more of a joystick jockey game.
Yep.
There's, I think, more risk of losing a ship in this game. So we'll see. Now, on the flip side of that, they also have released some of the first videos of some of the alpha type level of Squadron 42.
Okay.
Which I don't know if you've seen any.
I have not seen any of that one yet.
So they've shown, essentially it's one long mission. I forget if they did this at CitizenCon or somewhere else that they first released or showed it, but it's recent. And then they have some breakout talking about it as well, where it shows a mission. And it's not the first mission, something a little later, where, as Chris Roberts affectionately calls Old Man throughout the thing, is Mark Hamill's character that he plays. You interact with and taking off, and they talk about a lot of the depth put in the game and the difference between Squadron 42, which is a single player or co-op experience,